Hey everyone, Patrick Custer here, and welcome to Rooted Recovery Stories, the show that proves hope grows in the toughest soil. Before we dive in, if you or someone you love needs support, check out the episode description right now for the Trevor Project, PFLAG, Promises Behavioral Health's 24/7 recovery line, and the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Today's guest is Donna Adams, proud mom, Nashville nanny, chef, and rhinestone sidekick to designer Daniel Diamond. From childhood secrets to escaping a narcissistic marriage, from harmful coping to parenting with unconditional love, Donna's about to show us what freedom sounds like when you finally claim it. If you believe stories like Donna's can save lives, follow, hit subscribe, smash like, and share this episode with one friend, because every share puts real help within reach. Let's get rooted. The one and only Miss Donna Adams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So there's no better way, I feel like, to break the ice than some rapid fire fun questions. And I want to dive into those.
Okay.
You ready for it?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What is your secret nanny superpower?
Okay, so I was thinking about that, and I think I'm a highly sensitive person, which really helps with taking care of infants and toddlers and even older children. But I feel like, I know it sounds a little corny, but the baby whisperer, because I have always been, even a young child myself, aware of everyone's body language. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can really sense someone's change in breathing. So I think that helps me. And it definitely is a superpower because I anticipate the baby's needs and understand them, and they feel seen. They know I, without speaking, understand what they need.
It's beautiful. What's the most used emoji on 50 Shades of Donna?
I'm pretty corny. I do love the kiss face. I do that a lot. Hearts, praying hands, very positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm going to comment, it's always a positive comment.
That's not surprising at all. Mm-hmm. What's a song that turns any bad day around for you?
There's a lot of them. A lot. But interesting enough, just the other day for my son's birthday, we went to Whitney Houston's performance at the Symphony. It was spectacular, but it kind of brought me back. And I actually asked Dan to find out, when did Whitney actually become, famous? What was that first album? Mm-hmm. I didn't remember what year. I knew it was when I was in my 20s. So he looked back, and it was February of 1985. And he was born June of 85. But I Want to Dance with Somebody is got to be one of my favorites.
How can that not lift you up?
I mean, even seeing the videos now, I feel like this is what we should be doing again, that they're just so feel good moments in those videos. And I love that song. Yeah.
Me too. Mm-hmm. So, it's playing in my head. Probably will be all day now.
Exactly.
What is the last Daniel Diamond piece that you had to borrow? Which that question I almost feel like isn't even appropriate, because for you it's probably custom made and planned out in advance.
Well, I try not to go to the store when I know all the new inventory is in, because I want all of it. And I'm the mom.
Wait. You don't get one of each when they...
I kind of do. I've kind of backed off on that a little bit. I don't pressure him, but I will say, I really like that. I love that one. But,
Does he get the hint?
He does get the hint. Yes. I wanted I love pink, the color pink. So there was a pink jacket at one point with the fringe on the back silver, cropped. It was so adorable. And of course, he gave it to me.
I love it.
Because he's a good son.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
I love watching y'all's relationship together. It's absolutely heartwarming and so sweet. Thank you. Speaking about heartwarming and sweetness, We're here to talk about you, and I want to dive in to back to when sweet little Donna was a youngster.
Okay.
If you can take me back there.
Sure.
Can you paint me a picture of little Donna? What did home smell, sound, and feel like?
Okay, so when I read that question, I think I don't really have any of those kind of memories about home. I know what I was like. I think I was very self-aware even as a young girl. Memories go back not that far, but you can remember when you're 4 or 5, you start to remember things. I was like a very happy kid, considering I had a lot of turmoil in my household. But I was like happy and like always dancing around, and I was totally in love with my mom. My 2 older siblings are 11 and 9 years older. So I didn't really.
You were the youngest?
I was the youngest. So I didn't really have a relationship with them. In fact, the odd thing is just the other day, I'm like, I have no memory of them. Like more so my sister, who was 9 years older. I don't have any memory of her ever playing with me or doing anything with me. So I thought that was wild. I never thought that before. And I was like, wow, yeah, I don't have any. And there's no pictures of us either. And we lived in the same house. Of
you all together?
Yeah, of us together as children. Yeah. It's wild.
Interesting. I don't know if I told you, but I'm the youngest of 4, and I've got my sister was 4 years older than me. So we grew up very much together. We were homeschooled, but our brothers, all the same family unit, are 17 and 19 years older than me. And so very similar to what you're talking about, but the age is so separate that we didn't grow up we weren't living in the same house, you know?
Right.
So that must have felt weird reflecting on that, looking back, or I guess thinking back, not looking back because you couldn't.
Yeah. It's really, I never thought that before.
I think it's always special when we've come a long enough way in healing that we can reflect in new ways, to have new visions, new observations about our past that we couldn't see before.
That's right.
We're in a safe enough space to hold that thought and let it be what it is. Hey, listeners, quick pulse check. If Donna's courage is sparking something in you, pause for 2 seconds to follow or subscribe wherever you're tuning in, and tap that share arrow to pass this conversation to someone who needs it. Every new follower helps us keep amplifying recovery voices the world needs to hear. Remember that real-time help is always in the show notes. The Trevor Project, PFLAG, Promises Behavioral Health, and the Domestic Violence Hotline. Now, back to our story. What was your favorite escape or game before any of your storms rolled in? Part B to that is, or would you say the storms were already rolling in from your earliest memories?
Yeah, they were there.
Really?
They were there. I always wanted to be a mom. So that was very obvious in my childhood play. Like I had the baby doll, and it had a bed, and I had clothes, and I would do the things that you would do, like bathe the doll, dress the doll, put powder on the doll. So that was always there as like a comfort to me. So that kind of was my play. I went outside to play back in the 60s. That's what you did. Yeah. You went out to play kickball or whatever you did. But that was my escape, I believe, because it felt natural to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my mother was she was a big nurturer. So I had a good role model for that.
I feel like you might have just answered this, but looking back, who protected you the most? That's the first part of my question. I'm going to save the second part.
My mom. Yeah, she did. By that point, I think I was probably only 2 when my father left. So we were together a lot, her and I. The two older children were not around. My brother was troubled. He had schizophrenia by the time he was like 21, but had struggled throughout his life with bad behavior. But she was a huge protector. She was.
Did your brother Sorry, I'm trying to follow all of this, and you might have just said it. So at 21, you were how old? When he was 21?
He's 11 years older.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay. So you were experiencing the pre-diagnosed effects.
Right.
The diagnosis, especially back then, diagnosis came long after the actual,
100%.
Yeah. The behaviors are coming out. So can you describe what were those original storms happening in your house for you?
Well, my father who left was an alcoholic. So I witnessed like physical and emotional abuse towards my mom, never towards me. And then my brother's bad behavior affected my mom. So those were things that upset me, and I was and still am very sensitive. So it was a lot for me as a child. And you kind of feel like, and I think everybody experiences this, you really think that's just the way it is. Like you don't know what anyone else is doing in their homes. So those were the storms. My sister was kind of just out of the picture. She would be out at friends' houses or whatever. But because I was the youngest, I was there and where was I going to go? So fights and whatever took place around me affected me.
So you were the one to protect. I guess in every family unit, there's the one who is, I guess, the most in need of protection. I don't want to say the lowest on the protection totem pole, but right. Like my next question was going to be, who did you feel like you had to, was there anyone that you felt like you had to protect in turn?
My mother.
Really?
Yeah.
So there was like a symbiotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or reciprocal.
It was. And I think it's because her and I were so close, and the bond, it was just, we were so close. So close that I felt the need to protect her.
Have you been able to identify ways that, you talked already about being such a sensitive person? And I always say, HSP, highly sensitive person or people is, that's a clinical term. I don't know if we would call that a diagnosis or not, because in many people, I'm one.
Right.
I always say, I think that if you think that you are one, you have enough evidence to know that you are.
It's true. It's true.
And it's very real. When you think about life back then and being highly sensitive, what do you think that did to help you navigate your reality?
Well, I think it forces you to have courage. And I guess you don't put yourself first when you're having those emotions, because you can't. You have to, it's a survival thing. That's what I think. Like, bad things happened and I saw it, but then I was like, well, I don't want to react too much because my mom has gone through so much already. Like, I don't want to burden her with that I'm upset. So I think.
So you bottle it up.
You bottle it up and you really do not address it. Truthfully, if I had to give anyone advice, and I wish that my realization of all of this would have come sooner, because I didn't not that time is wasted, but yes, there's a point in your life when you're at my age that I feel like, I wish I had 10 years prior to this that I could have been at peace like I am now. So I think courage, I always thought is one of my greatest features.
I can definitely see that. You know, I heard recently, and I can't remember who said it, but it really just, it tugged at my core so much, that we find our anchor in peace when we center ourselves in the belief that the past is perfect, meaning all the blemishes and all the things that were harmful and hurt us and all those things still brought us to the place that we are today. And we have no idea what time would have done,
Yes, I agree.
And it only robs us when we think like, well, and so what were the things that you learned to watch out for when being a highly sensitive child? What would you pick up on in the house?
This is an interesting story. So, like back, I was born 1960. So ESP was like a talked about subject. My mother was pretty spiritual, and I always had this innate ability, like I could just feel whatever energies were around me. And my stepfather was equally dysfunctional, alcoholic, abusive. And
when did stepdad come into the picture?
He was in my life, I think I was probably about 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a big break between.
No, not a huge break. So there was one time that stood out to me that I lived in an apartment. We always lived in an apartment. And the front door, there were like parking spaces in the front. And he always got the parking space right at the door. And I could literally tell by the rev of his engine what was coming when he walked in. It's frightening, actually, for a child to like always anticipate chaos. But that's how I really could sense it. I could tell by the way, like that, something so minute as that, or just the energy in the room, or a comment that could be made, that I knew, here we go.
What were other than the engine, what were the lead ups to, like, what was the door? Did you have a screen door and then a regular door?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And was there a particular way that would close that you were looking for, or? I
think I already knew.
Really?
I think the engine was it. And it was just like, hold your breath, because tonight might be one of those nights.
Were there certain things that you started to develop that would, other than hold your breath, that you knew to do to prepare, that was like, okay, well, this space is safer than that space, or this shouldn't be out, or?
I think I would just go in my room, shut the door. But then a part of me was like, I couldn't fall asleep anyway, but I would have to like always, I don't want to listen to this, but I have to listen to this just so that I know that she's okay. That I don't have to run out there.
That's a really powerful statement right there. I didn't want to listen to this, but I have to. Just to know if I need to run out there.
Yeah, it's true.
Was there ever a point where it got so much that you just remember, like you disassociate, or were you always locked in?
I've thought about this over the past 2 years, probably. I think, again, we talk about survival, right?
Yeah.
I think what you do is you have to do that. Compartmentalize things, or you're going to lose your mind.
When you say that, for the listener or viewer that doesn't understand the terminology we're referring to, are you saying that you would be locked in, but the minute you knew she was safe, a lot of the times you would compartmentalize that so it didn't stay in your working memory, that you were
That's exactly right. Like the next day, all you wanted was things to be okay, and you wouldn't bring up anything or talk about it because it was scary. And like, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If childhood Donna could send one message to present day Donna, what do you think she would say?
I guess that I did a good job. Thanks for keeping me safe. You made mistakes and did things that hurt you, myself, to cope with all of that trauma. But you're on the other side of it now, and you're fine.
That was beautiful. That was the healed you talking to the young you.
Yeah.
I want to know what now you think that little Donna would say to you if she could speak into the future.
Oh, I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't. Because I just feel like everything does happen for a reason. And that was just my journey.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
I think that's a perfectly appropriate answer. No wrong answers here.
Right.
Creativity and caretaking were definitely already alive in you.
Yes.
Alive and well.
Yes.
I don't know if I would say alive and well. They were alive and strong. That's for sure. It's interesting to me that so much of our trauma becomes our greatest strength as we get, like it forges in the fire so many of our greatest assets.
100%. I believe that.
On a scale of 0 to 10, how safe did home feel? I put in here before the storm. I don't know that I realized when I was putting my notes together for this that you were born into a storm.
There was never a calm environment. So I guess
chaos is what you knew.
Totally. And if I could just speak to that, I think what happens is you are desensitized to chaos. It feels normal to you. So when you become a young adult, and I know it sounds cliche, but you do attract certain types of people.
You attract what you know.
Yeah. And believe me, I have so many of them in my life I could speak to, but I wasn't as afraid as someone who didn't go through what I went through. Like someone else who came from a home of, 2 parents and things were calm and all, they would run from that person the first sight of anything, but I didn't.
Before we get into your adulthood, I know you shared with me that they're off camera, and then we touched a little bit about your brother's troubled mental space and relationship with him. Are you open to talking about what transpired in the home between?
Yeah. I think just recently I thought about it because it's not something you want to think about.
No.
And I think a lot of it comes from me taking care of children, that I see the impact that things have on them.
One of the gifts of healing is being able to let the floodgates open when they need to now.
True. Okay, so I think because I take care of children and I see the impact that I have on that child, I think when you experience sexual abuse, you're forever changed. You're never the person you should have been. And I think that my heart breaks for the 5-year-old Donna, that she had to go through that and not know what exactly was happening. So that's like something I had to realize and say to myself, it happened, and hurt people. So I just had to come to that realization and let it go. So I'm sure a lot of people out there feel that. And almost you need to connect with that 5-year-old. And you need to say, I'm sorry it happened, but you made it through. A lot of bumps in the road, but you did it.
Are there any myths about abuse that your younger self believed at that time? I mean, you don't even know what abuse is.
No. Mm-mm. You think it's normal. You think, oh, this must happen next door. Like, this is probably just how life is. Especially going from one, my father, and now the next one in the picture is my stepfather, and he's pretty close to exactly the same behaviors. So I think when you're young and you're trying to process it, you're like, oh, I guess that's how men are.
Well, you saw, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you saw violence, abuse, dad and stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
This was a whole, not saying that violence wasn't involved, and I don't want you to go on territory that we don't need to go, but this is a step in a additional / different direction when we're talking about sexual abuse from anyone, but especially a family member.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking it happens, this is just something that happens, but nobody else is talking about it. Of course, what message you deduce as a child is therefore you don't talk about it.
Right. You know it's wrong. You don't know why. But even at 5 years old, you know that it's wrong. Something is wrong. And I think that feeling of being unsafe, not only with the physical violence I witnessed, and then that, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And I think it did form who I am and my choices.
Speaking of choices, I want to start by saying, no part of me wants this question to sound like I'm victim blaming or shaming in this. I don't know how to word this any other way, though. How do you think that secrecy shaped the way that you trusted or didn't trust people?
I don't think I thought of it as secrecy. I don't think when you're the victim of abuse that that's what you think. You don't think that. You just, I think I came from a place of emotional things. So again, I didn't want to bring up, again, my mother has gone through enough. Do I really want to start unloading on her what's happening to me? So I just didn't talk about it. It was just nothing I would really want to talk to her about.
You didn't even allow yourself to believe that this was something worthy of calling a secret.
No. It was, I think I've, over I know who I am, believe me. And I always had that characteristic of, I don't know. I'm always worried about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just in me from when I was little. So when I was faced with these things, I obviously didn't want to burden anyone. I think that's something I've carried through my entire life. Like, I don't ask for help, and I can do it myself, or I get mad at myself if, I'll even doing something like this for myself to prove that I can do it has always been my journey. Like, I've always wanted to go further, push harder, and that was the way I dealt with it. But yeah, I did bring it up to my mother. Who knows what she experienced in her life. I don't think she knew what to say to me, really. I was disappointed that she didn't address it.
How old were you when you told her?
I think I was probably like 12. And I remember it vividly. And I don't think she knew what to do. I think because my brother was so dysfunctional in his own life, like, this was just one more thing. Like, she was so over it, and he came to her for everything and preyed on her, if you will. So I don't think, as much as she probably wanted to, what was she really going to do? Yell at him? But I think she just felt too, like, keep the peace. She heard me. And yeah, maybe there were moments in my life where I felt like not validated or saved. But that's how it happened. And I had to deal with that and say, okay, well, I understand now.
Sure.
Why?
Oh, hindsight gives us so much perspective into why. I'm such a big believer in that. Oh, gosh. And this can be triggering for some people who've been through trauma, but I don't know. I think that we all start out good inherently, and
True.
Things happen either by nature or nurture. Something happens to, and I think it's so helpful, especially when we're talking about parents and different family members that either protected, didn't protect us, harmed us, didn't harm us, were, bystanders. I talk to people all the time on this show that get really indecision on feeling like, okay, but they were good. I know they did their best, but this is how it really hurt me, but I don't know whether I should say that, and at the end of the day, I think the full circle healing comes from being able to say, but this is my story and this is what happened to me. Mm-hmm. Looking back, I have the gift of clarity and I'm able to talk about it.
That's
now,
right.
So. And also, I wasn't alive during this time, but there's history, and I've had plenty of conversations, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, gosh, even up until into the decades when I was a youngster, abuse was rarely legitimized.
True.
Especially from women, young women, but especially from women, period. Mm-hmm. Then if you've got a mom who's married to a second angry alcoholic, was she still married to him at this point, or had they?
Yeah. My stepfather, he passed away. Well, he was probably in his 50s, but they were married for a long time. I think they got married when I was 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not that anything gives anybody a pass. Again, I think the lens of being able to look back through the time in which what was happening, the belief that, gosh, you're like, it sounds like she was doing the best she could with what she had.
She was. She came from like a family of 8, never drove. I don't even think she went to high school. I think she might have dropped out when she was in 8th grade, because there was one younger brother. So she was number 7. And then number 8 was my uncle. Wow. So she basically had to take care of him. And I'm sure I regret, again, I didn't want to ever make her feel uncomfortable or upset her. So I didn't ask a lot of questions about her childhood. So, she did, for what she had, she did really well. Really well.
I can't imagine. I'm a huge feminist, and I try as much as I can to put my head in my shoes, which is really hard as a male, right? Like, but I want to, in every way, shape, and form that I can, to put my feet in those shoes and try and experience or feel. I want to ask those questions. I can't imagine what it would be like to end up in a relationship with a second abusive alcoholic husband, not know how to drive. I talk about the liberties that weren't given to women. I mean, I don't, we don't have to go down that whole path, but I mean, like,
yeah,
what
trapped? I felt
how
she
on
felt
earth
trapped.
There were no examples of how to get out.
No.
Today, I think the average of the average female that tries to leave an abusive relationship attempts 7 times before being able to successfully leave, if she's able to successfully leave. Utterly blew my mind. I remember there are so many ways when I remember, like, the bubble of privilege, the different bubbles of privilege that, like, get burst for me. It wasn't that long ago, Donna, that I heard this statistic. I had no idea how women suffer. And which makes me realize and I'm a caring, compassionate gay man that is super open and a sponge to this stuff. This makes me think, how many like straight guys who are just like living their life going about, pull up by bootstraps, just tough old guy, have no idea about this stuff.
They don't. Could I say something about that? Through my journey, and we'll talk about this more, how narcissism, I mean, this is a word today that we'll hear over and over in a day, where before you never heard that. So when you talk about people that can't leave or try to leave 7 times, there's more literature about it that explains and is so helpful to women or men that it's a trauma bond. So I believe your brain, when you are enduring this, I think it changes. I think cognitive, that I can't remember the phrase, but these are all things that tricks your brain into thinking or believing it could be different, or why did I leave? And oh no, I should go back. Or if you have children, it's a big deal, or financially secure. So yeah, that's what keeps people where they are. So I think it's important to educate the women and let them know, like, I think I felt better after my last 2 failed relationships. I kept repeating things again. But when I finally realized there was an answer, like, this is a thing, you're not imagining it. And how are these people on this earth? And they all act the same way. It's almost uncanny. Like, they don't know each other, but they all follow the same patterns in abuse. It's all the same. It's like textbook.
I think there's a number of things there that make sense to me. And this isn't clinical, but I mean, I look at this from the devil you know feels safer than the devil you don't know.
True.
I think the biggest fear that motivates all of us is the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know how I'll make money. I don't know what life will look like. I don't know if I'll ever be loved. This is the greatest amount of love I think I probably could. What if this is all I deserve or could ever get? And the narrative may have different words in there, like for each person, but the essence of it, I think, is exactly what you were just talking about. Like the bond, because you keep getting pulled back. You don't believe, like,
Mm-hmm. In that process, these occurrences or experiences rip away or chip away at your self-worth, because it just does. It's just the way it is. Like, for some reason, why do we do that to ourselves? Why is it always based on, I'm not worth it, or I'm not worthy? It's just a normal, I think, knee-jerk reaction to these behaviors that you've experienced. And I think that when I said courage, I'm saying it because it takes a lot to walk away for all the reasons you just noted.
It takes a lot to walk away. Naming the truth here, even after, takes a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tendency when we make it through something hard to just want to compartmentalize and be like, I'm out, I don't want to think about that anymore.
That's right.
Is so strong.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what kind of trauma you're talking about.
True.
I don't know that we will ever be in a place where we can have real numbers on this because of the shame and stigma that are associated.
Mm-hmm.
And the dangers. I believe the numbers personally are way higher than what we have.
Oh, yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admissions center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.
Silence offered a sense of control for you early on. When I say that, does that feel true?
Yes.
Over the years, do you feel like it became a burden?
No. I think it's, I wouldn't allow it to be a burden. So I really would not think about it. And then as I move through my journey to try to right the wrongs, like, I knew one thing for sure: when I had a family, my children were going to be safe and taken care of and loved and got to be a child, get to be a child and enjoy all the fun things. And I actually got to live my childhood through them. So when I was booking Disney World, it wasn't just for them. It was for me too.
I love that.
Yeah. But I don't think I thought about it for many, many years. And I think as you get older and what's the saying? Like, we're all on this earth to learn lessons so that future generations, like, our DNA is clean or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to think about it.
What you're getting at is healing generational trauma. You get to stop cycles.
Yeah.
Slow them down.
Mm-hmm.
Prevent
That's it.
Fast forwarding a little bit into your adult life. You get married. What drew you into that first marriage?
Say that one part again at the end.
Well, what drew you into that first
okay.
marriage?
Well, there was a marriage before that. And I joke about it. It's not funny, but it was like a 20-minute marriage, literally. Someone I met in high school. And I think because I didn't have a traditional home, once again, my mom was remarried. She had a different last name than I had. Mm-hmm. This was like in the 60s. Yeah. And then I was 12 or 13 at 72, 73. And I never loved that stigma.
You never loved the stigma of having different last name from mom, the fact that she was married.
Divorced.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that was it wasn't that prominent.
Yep.
Those years. It just wasn't. People stayed in marriages for 50 years and I won't get into that subject. But
right. Well, and the people that there were people that didn't, but they didn't get talked about.
Yeah.
And if they were talked about, it was in hushed tones that were so shameful that,
it was not fun.
Yeah.
So when I met this person, he had a traditional life. They owned a house and, mom and dad and DDD. So I was like, I like that. I want to be around that. But what did I attract? My father. So once again, here it is again, I'm faced with this physical abuse, jealousy, all of the above. But because I was the caretaker, if you will, even though I was the younger child, I felt like I made that decision to marry this man. And I was 16 when I met him. We were married by 21. And there were breakups in between. Once again, trauma bond, I said. And I think I didn't want to pull the plug.
This is the 20-minute marriage?
The 20-minute marriage. Yeah. So I went through with it. I shouldn't have, but I did. And it was because I felt like embarrassed, I think. Like I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And I had already we were too far into it. Then we had a big fight and I really should have walked away and I didn't. But this is what I'm talking about. The chaos and what you attract and what you'll put up with. And I mean, my mother said it to me, that's your father. Do you understand the same? You're doing what I did. And I didn't listen because you think you know everything at that age.
Did you feel the need to say, yeah, but did you feel the need to make excuses? Were there glimpses that where what you would be open with the people around you and say, oh no, it's so bad. And then go back and cover your tracks.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I did. I took it as far as moving out because of my mother's distaste for him. And she was like, well, I don't want him around. And I was like, fine. And I'm moving out. And I did it. 19 years old. Went on my own. And turned my back on my mom. I regret that. But, she was still supportive. She knew, in other words, you have to live your life.
Yeah. And
figure it out for yourself. She warned me. She was right. Your mother's always right. I hope my kids are listening. But I think that
they better be, by the way.
They better be. So here I am, have my own apartment, independent, taking care of myself, didn't ask for any help, of course. And then went through with the marriage. And believe it or not, this is like a movie. On the honeymoon, he was abusive. And that was that. Because I was like, okay, I paid for my own wedding, saved money and paid for it myself. My mother wouldn't pay for it. And I just got home and I was like, all right. So now that's over. And now I have to make a decision.
What gave you the strength to make that? I mean, your honeymoon.
My honeymoon.
Again, I realize this can seem very misogynistic and narrow-minded, and I want to stay out of that place. But my job is to ask the questions, and I'm curious if you're able to articulate what's going through the mind when you go all the way to the place of like a survival, but no, this has to be right, but survival, and you make it to the place of deciding you're going to do this, you're going to get married, and you've already been through this stuff. What do you think gave you the courage to say on your honeymoon that this abuse, this instance was enough for you to say,
I believe the reason I went through with it, number one, is important. There's an emotion in me for embarrassment that is huge, huge. And that I couldn't bear for myself. That's why I said, let's just do this and we'll see what happens. But I think I was truthful enough with myself to say, this may not work. This not, the chances are it might not work. And I think, God is like gonna give you a little tap on the shoulder here and there and say, do you get it yet? Do you understand? But once I knew I was done with the wedding, and the strength I think that I formed once again was survival. I said to myself, I cannot do this. I cannot withstand these emotions and fear because they were so familiar to me in my childhood. And I thought, okay. And I have to be honest with you, I am truly amazed sometimes that I was able to do a lot of the things I've done. Once again, my mom wasn't worldly. She didn't drive. I couldn't depend on her to get me out of this. So, I just literally, I remember it so vividly. He left for work. I took my car keys the night before off his ring. I called a moving company. I didn't have that many things. And when he left for work, the moving people pulled up and took my stuff, and I disappeared for a month at a cousin's house he never met. Because I felt threatened, obviously.
You needed to be somewhere he couldn't find you.
A safe place. But that was big. That was huge for me to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thought process of at that age, even just knowing how, because things weren't as, I think back, because I'm getting official things done. Even though the bureaucracy is the bureaucracy still, people might feel like changing your last name or doing this or that piece of stuff you've got to do with the county clerk's office is still an act of Congress. Sure. But it's nothing compared to what you had to do 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So when I think about what age were you, 19, 20?
I was 21.
21. At 21 years old, then all the stuff going around in your head of, now I've got to go. I've got to hold a job. I've got to figure out what now I've got to do with the deal with the
logistics
of the legal part. Yeah.
We didn't have Venmos and, I had to write a check to the people and, I wasn't making a lot of money, but I somehow was able to make this happen. But and then keep a poker face through it all and get away. Because obviously I knew I was doing it before it actually happened, weeks before, and had to just keep my composure around him. So.
I'm so glad, first of all, that you listened to that voice. You got away. Take us to the next
marriage?
Yeah.
So I met their father He was 11 years older than I was. I think in retrospect, did I have daddy issues? Probably. But
I think it would be very odd to not.
True. Oh, yeah. I mean, being disappointed with all these men in my life, brother, father, stepfather.
Yeah.
But he, which I didn't know at the time, and I don't want to start throwing terms out, but he was a covert narcissist. So it's very like under the radar stuff. Mm-hmm. But initially I felt he was not in my face like the previous man, because that's not how he operated. So his disinterest, if you will, was refreshing. I was like, oh, he doesn't call me every 5 minutes or tell me I have to tell him exactly what I did. So I felt calm, to find out that I would never be satisfied with the emotional side of our relationship. He was incapable.
Okay, so you sparked something in my curiosity here when you talk about how like he wasn't calling every 5 minutes, attachment styles, we could go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's
and there is something to be said for there's this, with some of the hypervigilance and focus on the calling, where are you, so much of that has to do with control. We could piece apart forever, but I am curious, when you look back now, initially, what do you think, if you had to say what type of attachment style he was portraying, at least at that point, was it avoidant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And of course, you wouldn't even attach that word to it back then.
Yeah.
You did.
I don't even think attachment theory had.
No, you wouldn't even think of it. All I knew was that it was so different than the relationship I just left. So I was like willing to give it a shot. Mm-hmm. And, in 1981, 82, the thinking was still like the girls weren't going to college. Like maybe half of my graduating class went to college. I did not. But, you got married and you had children, and I wanted to have children.
I think it was 82 or 83. Again, me popping out of ignorance. The year when women were first allowed to get a major line of credit without
a man
or a husband.
Uh-huh. It's bizarre to think that it was like that, but yeah. And it goes back to me playing with dolls. I was like, I want to, like, this is big. I want to right the wrongs. I want to change the story. I want to be able to do exactly what I was set out to do, to have children and, rewrite it and like be happy. Like I knew it. It's like sometimes I joke and I say, we should be suing Walt Disney for this knight in shining armor stuff. Because no, it doesn't happen like that. But I think that I wanted to do it myself and do it the way I knew it should have been done. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but you have no idea.
When did you first notice the relationship wasn't what you thought?
Oh, probably before marriage, because I only was with him maybe a year and a half before we got married. Yeah. Once again, you make a decision. As mature as I was, I feel that was immature.
And let me apologize for my reaction there, because that was not to place guilt on you. I think that that was a bunch of emotions just popping up in my face at once. Mm-hmm. immediately as you said that, the light bulb goes off in my head. But of course, because of the narrative that starts building up in your head at the beginning is, this is different than every male that primary male relationship I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like safety.
Mm-hmm. Something
different comes out. But you have how long? A year and a half of narrative building up that's different. That's a long time to combat even just a realization all of a sudden that you're like, oh wait, this may not be healthy. But again, this whole narrative that's been building of difference in contrast to all these other men.
Mm-hmm. That was like if you were to, I think relationship experts will say to you, oh, like make 2 columns, all the good things about him and all the bad things about him. I think that's what I was doing in my mind. Yeah. He was an attorney. He was stable. He had somewhat of a family unit with his siblings. So I think I felt it'll be okay. It'll be okay. But then it wasn't. But I stayed in that marriage for 21 years. Long time.
Is there one day you can describe that shows how the narcissistic behavior wired that whole household?
His behaviors were, I can't explain it. It's like unspoken, very stealth. Like you wouldn't even know what's happening. And not until, probably the last 10 years when I've really delved into being more informed about it, I felt like, oh my God, that's what he was doing. Mm. Because what they do is they study you. And I'm the type of person, I'm pretty much an open book. So I want to share with you everything. If I meet you and we're romantic or whatever, I want to tell you where I've been and why, and this happened and that happened. And that's like giving them the rule book to your life. And once they have it, you're just a pawn in the game. So I think because I was young, and really, I probably said to myself, oh, this can't happen again. This is impossible. Like I can't be making another wrong decision. But his behaviors in our household, if you were to speak to my children about it, it was difficult. He wasn't emotional. He wasn't there for them. And believe me, I'm not trying to throw stones because I'm way past that. Mm-hmm. But I know because I know my children, they're both very sensitive. He just wasn't wired that way. And it would never happen. As many times as I tried to provoke that in him and school him on how to be emotional, it never happened. So I think it was like a very odd climate in our house. It was one climate when it was just myself and my children, happy, fun. I have to say, I'm not going to go off on this subject, but they were good kids. They were really good. Like, I really had no trouble with either of them. So we always had like a nice relationship. But as soon as he walked in, then everything changes.
How?
He takes over. He's just a very boisterous, one-sided. He would never ask you how your day was. And then, we used to joke. It just was like conversations you really didn't care about.
So when you say he took over, was there compulsion for the caretaking to start from yours or the kids' end from the jump? Or was he... Who was first to talk?
Rephrase that.
When he walked in the door.
Yeah.
Energy can take over.
Oh, it does.
And drive the boat.
Yeah.
To the point where the others feel compelled to, how's your day? If you've got highly sensitive people who are in a house who fill a house with a narcissist, much of the time they're going to be the ones that talk first, just to try and yes.
Yeah.
Was it that, or was it waiting for him to set the tone and for him to?
Well, Daniel, I'm trying to think how he reacted most of the time. I don't think anything was said, really. They were just quiet. I mean, I don't know if my daughter would remember this. Like, as soon as she heard the garage door, she would go upstairs to her room, shut the door, and didn't even really want to be a part of that initial getting home routine, if you will. There was no conversation in our house other than what I had with my children. It's almost bizarre to even say that, but it's true. It's so true. And I can't explain it to you. You would have to meet that person before you could really understand.
A lot can be said with nothing, with no words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you've already said it's so hard to describe. I don't know what words I would use, but I want to ask you if you think about, you've done a very good job of painting a picture for us so far. But because I know for the person who thinks they might be on the brink of this, or who's in the middle of a similar storm, and like, I can't put words to this, but it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons why I dig in spots like this.
Mm-hmm.
He would come home and there's this awkward no talking. What was the ways in which body language would communicate that you remember there being, if he does this, it means this, or I really wish, or I know that this would just mean something to the kids. I will position myself this way in hopes for this. Was there anything you look back and remember that if words weren't what was the collateral for communication?
What was?
What was?
He was well known for, like, the first thing he did when he walked in. You're going to laugh. Look at the thermostat. Because there was this.
Are you saying that because when I got here, I told them to turn the air down?
That literally walk in the door, walk over to the thermostat.
Yeah.
So if it was winter and you had the heat on too high, you're going to be yelled at. Not yelled at. That's the wrong term. And the same for summer. So that's what I mean. He almost like would put you on the defensive immediately. He did it with everyone. He did it with us. I saw him do it with his own friends. And I mean, I believe truly he's an insecure person who's not living his truth. And that's all it is.
You're describing a huge piece of someone with narcissistic personality disorder. It just manifests differently.
It does.
And the sneaky way that you're talking about, good gosh, do I understand this? Because when you've been conditioned to watch for those things of behavior that is testing, what came next? Because it's not yelling. Oh, when you say how it wasn't yelling, the behaviors that aren't yelling, that are so, and I feel like only people who've experienced this can understand what we're talking about, but so many have experienced this.
Yeah.
The silent behaviors can be so much more piercing and also so much more damaging. Not to compare, but because it's easier to point at somebody screaming and say, they're hurtful. That's hurtful. It's hard, even on this side, after healing as many years as you have, to be able to put voice to how harmful a behavior is when we're just talking about like how.
And I don't think you're right. Yelling is obvious. And behaviors like that, you don't really know how to react to it. And I'll be honest with you, most of the time I learned not to react, to not say anything, because it just wouldn't be good. Because then we were wrong, myself or my children. Once again, we can't ever say to him like, well, that wasn't nice, or what you said to them wasn't nice, or how you made
tried,
me feel.
what would happen?
Oh, no. What does a narcissist say? You're too sensitive. I'm only joking. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, again, was I equipped to confront him? No.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, 2 children living our life.
Mm-hmm.
So you just deal with it. You just conform.
Mm-hmm.
And, 5 days a week for at least more than 8 hours a day, you didn't have to deal with it. He was at work.
What would happen if the heat was too hot or the air was too cold?
Oh, you would hear it. Just, you know what? It's like, his family they were not poor. So I don't know why. And I used to say to him, so we're going to worry about that, but you're going to do this, which costs money. So that makes no sense. But hypocrites live in that world of narcissism. They're not accountable for their behaviors or what they might be wasting money on. But for our comfort, no. Just something to say, I believe. Set the tone. It would just set the tone.
I would have gotten thrown in the lion's den, that's for sure. Because, sorry not to make light of that, but
no, it's true.
To this day, I go to when I visit my parents' house because they're in their 80s now,
and it's hot there, right?
Oh,
yeah, they're always cold.
Oh,
like you can't breathe.
There's a sauna in Brentwood the size of a anyway. That was going to be a joke that I won't go there anyway. But they're happy in their temperature. I just
exactly.
I loved having them over to my house, and I give them lots of blankets when they come in the door.
Yeah, my mother used to say it's freezing in here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's interesting to talk about how a relationship can provide what you said earlier, stability and danger at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But danger masked as just a side effect of.
Yeah. Like you were supposed to accept it because you had to believe that was his personality, I guess. I think. I don't even know.
What invisible rules did you and the kids learn to survive in that environment?
I think we were trained in a sense. It's like something you make up in your own mind to be able to spend a day with him and be able to weather, really not a good idea to be in a cranky mood or any of that if you're going to be around him, because you definitely will react. So you just learn to really not say a lot. Not say a lot. And I know it sounds horrible, but I love when I talk to my best friend and I have conversations with people and it's a back and forth. Well, that never occurred with him. And I know people would say, oh my gosh, how'd you marry him? And well, I don't know. I thought maybe he'd be different after a while, but it just wasn't him. He wasn't capable. He didn't care. He doesn't care to ask you. It was always talked about his work or whatever it was. So, yeah.
Context tells us everything.
Mm-hmm.
It makes all the sense in the world why you married him, having known, I want to share a statistic nugget here because I think they're important to interject when we're talking about these topics. 1 in 4 women report experiencing emotional abuse by an intimate partner. And the long-term effects include, but are not limited to, anxiety, depression, and complex PTSD.
Yeah.
That came out from a research study by the CDC in 2023 and is still true to this day. 2 years later. 25%, and I believe that number is far too conservative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Your story is so important.
It is.
It is so many people's story.
It is. And like I said, the embarrassment issue is something you have to get over. Because if you're going to, you either do it all or you don't do it and talk about it. Like, truthfully, I mean, I don't want anyone to feel that way or stay longer than they should for reasons like it'll work out. You don't realize it, I think, because you're afraid. But I think that all you need is take that first step and you'll be okay.
So before you took that first step, I want to dive a little bit into what Daniel's process was. And I know that this is his story, but it's also yours as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Did you sense that he was different before he told you?
Yeah. No, really? I did not. No. Okay. So he was born 1985. His birthday was Saturday.
For all those who don't do math very well, Daniel Diamond is 40 years old. Make sure you say happy birthday to him and mention his age on his social media. He loves it.
He is like, Mom, stop it with the 40 thing. Stop. Do we have to say that? No, I did not know. I turned 40 next year. Yeah. He's going to give me such a hard time. Yes, he is. Life just begins at 40, just saying. Like, this was all like your schooling. At 40, you're finally, I think, an adult in a lot of ways. But no, I did not know. I think I mentioned to you that I wrote a book about this journey because in 1985, there was no literature about how to raise a gay child, period. I was a hairdresser by trade, so I had been in the company of many gay men and loved them. And I am extremely accepting of anyone. So I think he was about he was talking, so probably 2.5. He said he was a girl. He was in the bathtub. I swear I can remember it vividly. And, I was like, what? Like, what an odd thing to say, especially when you don't have 1,000 words in your vocabulary.
Right.
So I hear this from him and I paused and I was like, okay. And I just gently corrected him and said, you're a boy, Dan. You're a boy. And, probably referenced my niece, Michelle, as she's a girl, what have you. I'm not going to get into body parts. But I think after that initial short conversation with him, all of a sudden I just became very aware of, and this goes back to what I say about how I take care of children. I watch everything, everything. So I started to notice the toys he picked and gravitated towards playing with the little girls, like my friends' little girls, not so much the boys. Interested in my clothing. So, things like that. And then I just went with it. And then I think because I didn't have the relationship with his father, I might have mentioned it to him, but again, in one ear and out the other. So I took it upon myself to try to investigate, would there be any guidance for me as far as like weathering this journey? Because it's going to be lots of years of this.
When did that realization? When do you remember around how old he was?
He was, say, 87, 88. So now we have Phil Donahue on TV, like as far as like people talking about subjects that are a little more racy or not talked about. And I used to love all of it. Like Oprah's my biggest, I love her. So
Same.
I was very aware of it. And again, because of the work I did. So I just started trying to find help or somebody would understand. Okay. Because I saw the shows about like the aftermath of people that didn't tell their family they were gay and now they're alcoholics and drug users or suicidal. And I just was like, well, I don't think that's going to work for me. So I think I have to understand him. And what should I do? What should I do? So again, wrote to Phil Donahue. I tried a lot of things, went to the library because back then you didn't have any other means of finding things out. Nothing. Zero. So I just started to make notes of certain instances in his life, what he was doing. And I think it came to a head when I was shopping for a friend's little girl for a toy for her birthday. And we walked into Toys R Us and went down the girl aisle with all the dolls and everything. And he was skipping and loving every minute of it. And then I would let him buy something. Like, you get to get something too today. And of course, I go to the aisle where the trucks are because he's still little.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. And all of a sudden, he's like, not even touching anything. So I was like, clearly, he doesn't want any of these toys. Needless to say, we walked out with a Cabbage Patch doll that he carried around, which was adorable. And I think that was the beginning.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of like, I don't know if I thought that back then, but I felt like, okay, so it's not going to probably be the story that you thought it was going to be. Mm. You're going to literally grieve a life that you think, you're handed a baby boy. You're just programmed to think like baseball and, the prom and what have you. So maybe that's not going to happen. So be ready for that. And yeah, I did. I was like, okay, well, that's not how it's going to be. We're just going to follow his cues and let him do what he wants when he's in our home. And then when he's old enough, try to make him understand without scaring him about what he'll face when he walks out the door. So that started the whole, my book, which eventually I will publish.
I'm very much looking forward to that day.
Yes.
So when did you let that just be what it needed to be?
Yes.
When did it become a conversation with him?
He never spoke about it. He never really, he would like, obviously he's in fashion. Mm-hmm. So like creativity, he was an artist. He was comfortable enough to expose those parts of him. But I would have one-sided conversations with him, and people laugh because I say to the families I work for, the best place to have that conversation is when you're in the car with them and they can look out the window because it scares them. Yeah. Things that are very emotional or deep. And I think because I had friends that were gay, I would use that as like a opening, like, oh, my friend Bruce is gay and that's fine. He likes boys. Boys can like boys. Girls can like girls. So once he heard these things, he started to understand, like, she's trying to tell me something. Like, I'm okay. It's going to be okay. And not until he went to college in Los Angeles to fit him that he had been on MTV and was like dancing and went to dance classes. I took him to another town because he didn't want to be ridiculed by the boys at school. And we went through a lot of that. But once we got to California, and I do want to touch on this story because I think it's very important. We drove into West Hollywood. I don't know if everyone knows West Hollywood is the gay
haven of,
like really, which I had no idea. So him and I, once again, father is not with us, pull in the night to a hotel, which I planned this so that we could be close to the school the next day and go for orientation to FITM, the fashion school. And then we get out in the morning to go have coffee. So we were near a busy road. So we walked out of the hotel and went down the street, and it was a sea of men, gay men everywhere. I don't know if there were a lot of girls. There was all men. And all of a sudden, because he grew up in a rural town.
In Pennsylvania, right?
It was New Jersey.
New Jersey.
But kind of resembled Pennsylvania. Yeah. I could see the stress fall away from him. Like he was not so different. Like, look at this. There's so many of them. Like everything's fine here. It's okay. So here we are. And I just, felt his energy be more like he was a part of something. Mm-hmm. And then we were there for like a few days. And because he was on MTV, we went to a Saddle Ranch, this bar, who we bumped into someone from MTV who I believe, I don't know his name offhand, might have been in the closet because he was sitting with a table of girls and quickly got up and talked to my son. And they exchanged numbers. Dan even said to me, should I take his number? I'm like, yeah, you're going to live here. You need some friends. And I think that was the turning point. We were in the hotel and I think we were washing our faces and chatting. And I thought, because I have read this before, I've seen it, like people want to say it. They want to say it maybe that I'm gay. Like those words are powerful. And I said to him, is there anything you would like to say? Because now we've like gotten as far as like, there's a boy at the bar and you took his number and, I think we don't have to beat around the bush anymore. So he has turned to me and said, I don't have to say anything. You see me. And that's the name of the book. So, and the whole object of me trying to chronicle this journey is, I don't believe in the coming out process. I don't think it's not normal. Like a child has cancer and you unconditionally love them, or dyslexic or whatever it is. You don't ever say like, don't be like that. I don't like that. That's not what I feel like doing. You stand up for them and you guide them and you support them. So I firmly believe that there's behaviors that your child will show you. I know that for a fact. And it isn't always like a reaction that's yelling. It's a look of distaste. It's disapproval. And when you're that young, because I know that from what I've been through, you won't do it again. You don't feel safe, or you're just like afraid. Like, and this is your parent who you want to love you forever. So you're not going to do it. So you start to close off that part of yourself for many, many years. And I think our job as parents, if you're going to have a child, that's a part of it. You are supposed to do this and change the narrative and be able to say, it's okay. You're okay. You're fine. This is all going to be okay because you have me.
Do you know how healing it is for me to hear
Good.
this story?
Good.
so many of us have far different experiences.
I know.
And there's all kinds of healing and inner work that we can do as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take away from the ability for and the power for a story you just shared about how you turned the very thing that kept you safe and alive was a survival skill that you shouldn't have had to become a professional at 2, 3, 4, or 5 years old. You used that to create an environment where in that time, because you're talking about my exact coming of age range. This is not most people's story.
Right.
I can't wait till you write this book.
I know. I really, yeah.
Sorry, that got me clearly a bit emotional. Daniel, for those of you who don't know personally or haven't experienced, he is one of the most loving individuals you will, if you ever have the chance to meet him, to everyone he meets.
He is.
And we're talking about, so I mean, he's done anything and everything with, he could be as prideful as one could be. And he's absolutely not.
No, he's not. Yeah.
I want to ask you before we close, because I think that this is important. We've talked a lot about coping and what helped you survive. There was a period that you've shared with me where you turned to more than just behaviors, but a substance. What was that? When was that? And how did it?
Well, obviously alcohol is something you can buy or go out and have and do whatever you want. It wasn't really that important to me when I was younger. Over the years, between those, I guess, pushed down emotions of what had happened to me and not addressing it, and then what I endured with the first marriage, second marriage, it just takes like a snowball going down a hill. It just picks up momentum. And initially you probably feel like it's helping. But we all know it's a depressant. And it's just, looking back, I mean, it's really a scary, dark place to be in. Yes. And embarrassing. And like, once again, I talk about courage. Like, I was so upset with myself to think that, you know, I didn't have the strength to make it different. It took a while. It did. And I think for most people it does. I'd never really felt like I was someone, everybody's story is different and the way they react to alcohol and their family history. But I really never felt that I was physically addicted to it. I was mentally addicted to it. And I don't really know a moment when it changed. And I want people to know something. You know, it's not a light switch. It's not a light switch. You're not going to like turn it on and turn it off and everything's going to be okay. Because I do approach things that way. Like I want it to be done now. I don't want to wait. But, you know, sometimes you take 5 steps forward and 1 step back. But through that process, you start to understand when you become more clear with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be able to abstain from it for a while, and then you decide what it is in your life. For me, I can, because I feel, you know, evolved and changed, I can have alcohol. It doesn't take me to a bad place. I'm never upset. You
had a moment though where you said this was destructive and I have to.
Oh yeah. What
was that?
There was not one. There was a lot. And still, believe it or not, I think your brain, because, you know, once again, that's changing the chemicals in your brain, and also narcissist abuse changes you. You really are like mentally unstable.
Yeah.
So it took time and like almost peaceful and being alone, and then start to acquaint yourself with yourself. Because, you know, not only are you carrying titles like mother, daughter, wife, all of that, friend, that eventually you're always going to be someone's friend or daughter, but like and mother, but you lose yourself. So, and then you really don't like yourself if you're doing the things you shouldn't be doing. So it takes time for you to like trust who you're going to love within again.
Yeah.
It takes time. But you should all know that once it happens, you're like, wow, this is so good. Like, it's so good to feel good. It's undescribable.
And good for the right reasons.
Yes.
If we were to speak to the things that stick out for you that have been the most impactful in your healing process, whether it's healthy connection with friends, finally leaving the relationship, just take us through those things that stick out to you the most, that have been the most helpful leaning into to heal.
If I really think about it, I think that the journey had started. I'm from New Jersey. Daniel moved here 6 years ago, I believe. And my daughter Noelle was still in New Jersey also. But the healing started in New Jersey. But it's almost like when people go to rehab and they say to you, when you get out, you can't hang with the same people. You have to change everything. So did I know then why my life took this course and I moved to Nashville? I didn't. It was literally, I made a decision in like an hour. Like, I was coming out of a relationship and had a property I needed to sell and things that were really going to be hard to do. But I was like, I called Dan up and I'm like, I'm moving to Nashville. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And to this day, I think I just spoke to my best friend yesterday about it. And I'm like, could you even believe that, like, I did it by myself? Daniel did drive here with me, but I have my house furnished and, you know, I'm taking care of myself. So I really believe that God, universe, whatever we want to believe in, sets the path for you, and you need to follow it and trust it, because faith is hard. It's hard to believe that if you open that door, what's going to be on the other side of it? Like, it's scary. Mm-hmm. But you have to say to yourself, if this is what I'm feeling, I'm going to go with it. So I really think it was me removing myself from, that environment of which I lived in with certain, patterns, if you will.
So I just wanted to mention, statistics tell me everything, and I love bringing them up. Women who survive emotionally and or physically abusive relationships are 2 times more likely to become addicted to alcohol and or substances. Mm-hmm. I don't even have to say why. Mm-hmm. When you need to escape and survive, you need to escape and survive. The other part that I forgot to mention back when we were talking about Dan, and I think, again, these statistics are, I feel like always, they're just so much more conservative because they have to be. Mm-hmm. But kids who are raised in affirming households are 3 times less likely to attempt suicide. Mm-hmm. LGBTQ plus kids who are raised in affirming households are 3 times less likely.
I believe that.
To attempt suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
my goodness, are our children not worth it? Mm. Would you not go through that grieving process you described about having to grieve the future you thought you were going to have, all the things that you had to do on your own? Would you not go through that 1,000 times over, knowing what you know now and how it provided safety for Daniel to be who he needed to be?
I would do it over and over and over. And I think that, especially this month with it being Pride, we're all adults when we give birth, pretty much. And we're kind of equipped. We should be equipped for these things if we're going to have children. And I think that it's important for people to understand that, coming to terms with what you thought was going to be is much easier. And for all the pain, they're going to still have a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It's just the way the world is. But if you can, be by their side through it, and they know that you love them and it doesn't matter, and you accept that, I think it's life-changing. And I think my son is a product of that.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We love Daniel, and I could have spent a lot of our interview talking about him, but he gets the spotlight all the time.
He does.
And so if you don't know, check out Daniel Diamond's work, because
can I give him a shout out?
But let's give him all his flowers right now, and Noelle, because yes. I am one of his business associates is like, you're the best brand ambassador ever. Yeah.
It's exciting to announce that he's going to be opening his airport store in New Terminal D, and it's July 8th, and we're there, and we're so excited to have everyone who walks through the airport come and see us, and we'll make you sparkle.
This is airing. We're pre-filming, y'all. So this is airing in the beginning of August. So when this airs, it's going to already be open. So if you fly in or out of Nashville International Airport, head on over to Terminal D.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
But so is the flagship store in Nashville on Rep John Lewis Way, Drive, Boulevard, whatever.
Right.
It is an experience. No matter what place you get to go experience Daniel Diamond, it is amazing. Yes. And you get to experience that joy and love that shines bright like a diamond as a family.
I love that.
A family trait for sure. That.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Donna.
Oh, you're welcome.
Everyone, Donna Adams, thank you. Thank you again for being so brave and vulnerable on this show. Your courage is going to change and potentially save some lives.
I hope so. I hope so.
I believe it will. And to our audience, I want to remind each and every one of you that it's never too late to start loving yourself. And you're always only one decision away from a completely different life. This is Patrick Custer signing off from Rooted Recovery Stories. Smash that follow button, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and hit like, because every engagement pushes these hope-packed conversations into someone else's feed. And remember, help is out there right now. You can connect with the Trevor Project at 866-488-7386. If you're a parent, check out PFLAG at pflag.org/help. And for mental health or addiction resources, you can catch us at Promises Behavioral Health at 866-540-0182. If you are in need of domestic violence help, you can reach the Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-SAFE. Also, share these numbers, share this story, and keep rooting for each other. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing.
This podcast is brought to you by Promises Behavioral Health. If you or a loved one are struggling with trauma, addiction, or mental health, we are ready to answer your questions and help you take that next step. Call our admission center at 888-648-4098 or visit us online at www.promises.com. Our team is ready and waiting to answer the call for help.